All right, time has come. I'm putting Reggie on the hot seat, covering all the latest hot topics in Minnesota sports. First up, CBS Sports names one rookie sleeper from each NFC North team. Of the Vikings haul, it was Andrew Booth Jr. that was highlighted in the article as the number one rookie of the class for the Vikings to watch. What does it mean when it comes to which Vikings rookie has the highest expectations to fill in year one? Because remember, Lewis Cine drafted first, but he may not even see the field right away with Cam Bynum.
Yeah, I mean, well, he may not, but I think they
You
find a way to get him
figure it out
on the
right?
field. Yeah, you don't
Figure it
draft him first round to just have him sit. You know, I think, they're not in a position where they can draft guys for luxury at this point. Like, they got to play their guys.
No
And
doubt.
so I think between Scene and Booth Jr., like, those are two of the guys that you watch as far as being the most impactful rookies. I think if you ask Louis Riddick from ESPN, he'll say Ed Ingram. But, I think as far as impact players, it has to be either Scene or Booth. And, the article talked about how Booth being in the room with Patrick Peterson is helpful for him because that's someone that's world class that you can learn under, and that's going to help Booth become a stud. And I think I agree with that. If Booth can stay healthy, because that was a little bit of an issue with him at Clemson, him staying healthy. If he can stay healthy, this guy is someone who could come out there and lock a receiver up. And you're talking about one of the premier corners in the league. It's tough to put all those high expectations on a guy, but many teams had this guy as a first round talent, and he just kind of fell to that second round, which was a luxury for the Vikings to be able to scoop him up like they did, because there were mock drafts that were, projecting the Vikings to take Booth in the first round.
Right.
And not only do they trade back and they get Scene, they get Booth as well in the second round. Like, that was a coup for them. And so I think, even with having taken him in the second round, I think that is someone who you expect to jump up and really be an impact player from day one.
So excited about Lewis Cine, so excited about Andrew Booth Jr. But when we went into this offseason, there was only one clear-cut, no questioning, no arguing starter that they needed to fill that position. That was right guard. They used a second-round pick on Ed Ingram. I know you mentioned Louis Riddick, must have mentioned him as well. They don't have the luxury to use a second-round pick on a guy and not have him start right away.
Right.
Now, maybe it takes them maybe it takes a few weeks, okay? Justin Jefferson didn't start the first 2 weeks, whatever. Like, maybe it takes them a little bit to get going, but if we're mid-season, week 8, week 9, and Ed Ingram isn't your starter at right guard, I'm going to be awfully disappointed, because clearly when you use an early second-round pick on a guard, you clearly think and have the expectations this guy is a plug-and-play starter from day one. So I think Ed Ingram is quietly behind the scenes. Of course, Andrew Booth Jr. and Lewis Cine, a lot of expectations there for sure. A lot of people, fans excited to watch them. But Ed Ingram needs to go out, compete, and win and earn that starting job. Otherwise, I'm going to go back and look at the end of the season and look at that second round pick and just kind of shake my head and say, you know what, that maybe wasn't the best pick when you look at value and the position that they drafted. And again, the biggest need that they had going into the offseason, you didn't fulfill that need. So that's the one I'm circling. Probably no wrong answer there. Booth, Cine, Ingram, a lot of high expectations. Hopefully these rookies can come in and make an impact somewhat early on for the Vikings. All right, next one. Gophers football head coach PJ Fleck was spotted at Vikings minicamp chatting with Kevin O'Connell for a portion of team practice. What does it mean when it comes to higher expectations for their football program in 2022? Which coach has their team kind of headed in the better direction? PJ Fleck with what he's done with the Gophers? Obviously, we don't know yet, but the expectations with Kevin O'Connell seem to be pretty high so far.
Yeah, I think you look at Kevin O'Connell because of the team and the weapons that he inherited. Yep. He's an offensive-minded coach, and you look at all the weapons that he has on offense, plus a competent quarterback who can get it done in the league. And you look at that and you're just like, oh yeah, it's ready-made for him to go ahead and go. Like, it's time to go. So I think the expectations may be higher for him. But you look at what PJ Fleck has done in his time with the Gophers, I would say it's been a successful run so far.
Mhm.
You got Tanner Morgan coming back as quarterback, and that's a luxury for them to have a guy as veteran as he is coming back under center to run the offense. And so like that part is really cool. And I'm sitting here, I just pulled up their schedule. They got New Mexico State, Western Illinois, Colorado, Michigan State, Purdue at homecoming, Illinois, Penn State, Rutgers, Nebraska, Northwestern, Iowa, Wisconsin. You look at this, you look at this schedule, and if you're a Gophers fan and if you are, believing in the whole row the boat culture and PJ just kind of pushing this team along, you look at this schedule and you don't see very many games that this Gophers team should lose.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know they lost some guys to the draft and all that good stuff, but like if they're going to compete, like I don't see Ohio State on this schedule. You know what I mean? Like I don't see Michigan on this schedule.
Right.
Some of the teams that are considered, the cream of the crop. Now I will say, now I will say these games against Michigan State, Penn State, and then Wisconsin to end the year, those are going to be some tough ones. All right. And maybe you do a coin flip on whether or not they win either of those games. But you're looking at 9-10 win season for the Gophers. Like that's the expectation with this group, and it's going to be interesting to see if PJ can get them there.
But I think those last three games are what's going to defy, ultimately, when you look back at the Gophers season, whether it was successful, unsuccessful, whatever it may be. But just cool to see former 49 receiver PJ Fleck and former Patriots quarterback Kevin O'Connell chumming it up on the sideline of Viking practice, kind of collaborating a little bit. I think a lot of people are really happy with PJ and the job he's done. I think he's got that program heading in the right direction for sure. So should be a lot of fun to watch both those guys. Hopefully fans are looking for them to just get entrenched here in Minnesota for the next decade plus. Would be a lot of fun to see. All right, last one. Despite the tough loss, Twins now leadoff hitter Luis Arraez went 2 for 3 and bumped his average up to a gaudy 361. Leading the MLB. What does it mean when projecting his chances at breaking the Twins' all-time highest batting average for a season, held by none other than Rod Carew with 334?
He can do it.
He's got a chance. I mean, these guys always ebbs and flows during the baseball season, right?
Yeah, and this is one of those ebbs. Like he's really doing this thing right now. And I don't know if it's naive. I don't know if it's ignorant to just expect that he will continue this clip throughout the fullness of the season.
Right.
But you've just seen some really good things from Luis Arraez, like so far this season, that make you just kind of believe that, a slump, even if it happens, it won't last for very long, because like he's figured some things out and he's doing his thing out there. It's tough to say like, oh, okay, well, there may be, several games, because at the start of the season, Byron Buxton looked like a guy that was going to hit 5,000 home runs this year.
That's right.
It looked like every time up, he was just going to get a hit and be impactful. He's going to be out there jumping around, yelling, screaming, kissing babies. But he's kind of come back down to earth a little bit. And so maybe you expect Luis Arraez to come down to earth a little bit. But from what we've seen, there's no reason to believe he can't be a 300-plus hitter this season.
Yeah, Luis Arraez, number one in the league, 361. J.D. Martinez, Boston Red Sox, 359. And another AL Central alum, Tim Anderson, third in the MLB at 356. We'll touch on the White Sox a little bit and how they're starting to heat up a little bit with a win over the Dodgers last night. Tomorrow.